right, we're back. Graveyard Shift Movie Podcast, episode number 116. How excited are you for like 200 episodes from now where we have episode 316 and we can like dress like Stone Cold and we do the whole episode like, I'll tell you what, that son of a bitch.
Not as excited as you are.
I'm very excited.
I tell you right now, like...
I think it's only going to take us, 4 years or something to get to 316? But when we do, I'll go bald. I'll shave myself bald.
I mean, just the time. The time might take your hair. So.
Yeah, it could. Who knows?
It might. You might just be there.
I might be. But anyway, episode 116, and this week we're back on our Child's Play marathon watch-along thingy thing with Child's Play 3 from 1991. It came out a whole 9 months after number 2 came out, because this series was still, hot, and so they were like, we need to make another movie, and then this movie came out and didn't bomb, but it did not do well at the box office, and so then I think it's 7-8 years until we get Bride of Chucky, which we'll look at next week, but yeah, so a whole 9 months after Child's Play 3 came out. And this is often referred as, the worst, if not, just one of the worst. Don Mancini, the creator of Child's Play, has said that it's his least favorite. Brad Dourif has said it's his least favorite.
Have they watched the first one?
Yeah, so they're not a big fan of it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I think it's my favorite one we've watched. I don't know. Something about just the setting with the military academy and stuff, which a lot of people don't like, but I really liked it. Even though I'm glad they don't do it the whole time, but the first couple minutes of Military Academy just seems like a total ripoff of Full Metal Jacket, like even stealing lines and shit. But
yeah, and it's like a fucking kids academy thing, and I'm like, why are they going so hard? This is so dumb.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought Brad Dourif's voice acting in this one was better than 2. If you remember in 2, I said how something was weird about him for about half of the movie. Like, it didn't seem like he was into it. I felt like this whole movie, he was, like, giving it his all and shit. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think it's my favorite one that we've watched out of the 3 so far. So, Tyler, what are you going to give Child's Play 3?
I didn't really think about ranking. I liked it, though, because it's like I said, Chucky being Chucky, right? Like, there was none of this bullshit where he was like, hey, I'm Chucky, wanna play? Like, he was like, I'll fuck you up, kid. Come on, He just didn't care. Like, I was like, yeah. I'm gonna say the animatronics, the puppetry in this one was kind of fucked. Like, there were certain times where he'd be standing and you could tell it was a head, and the body like wasn't. It was just kind of limp there, and like
the weird thing is this movie, they like really upped the lip syncing of Chucky, like to the point that the puppet, like the guy, they would just literally, they had a thing on the guy's head, so as he talked, it controlled the puppet. So the lip syncing looks better than the previous 2 movies, but like you said, there are movements of his that I was like, why does this look so weird? The first thing that pops in my mind, the first victim of the movie that we'll get to, Chucky like walks over his body, and I swear it looks like they just had a puppet on a string that they just dangled his feet onto him. But yeah,
and there's certain other times where like his head, he's like, "Hey kids," and he's like talking, but you see the rest of his body, and it just looks like a regular fucking stuffed animal.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? What?
Yeah.
But then Chucky's face looks great, but everything else was bad. But I'm gonna give it. What I give the last one? I don't think I'm gonna give this one.
Gave the last
6,
one a 5.
7. Yeah. So this is like 6.5. I'll do 6.5.
6.5. All right. Well, hey, we're gonna spoil everything about Child's Play 3. So if you've never seen it, you've been warned. And also be warned that this might be a weird podcast because we're doing it 4 hours before you'll listen to it if you listen to it when it comes out, and you know, and shit's going on, and so this might
I
be a
also
weird one. Yeah,
I fixed my mic to where it's on the boom stand. It's right in front of me and everything.
you do sound closer.
I don't know if it's closer, better, whatever you want to call it,
I
but
don't know. I could tell that something was up when I was talking to you. I didn't know what it was, but now I cracked the code. By crack the
I
code, I
fucking
mean you
told
kind
you.
of told me, but
But well, no, I had to do all that work on the PC. So like,
yeah.
and I got rid of all these cables and all this stuff. But now I
Mm-hmm.
can't eat at my computer desk, so I have to sit in my empty living room
Yeah,
alone and eat in silence. My little lean cuisine
yeah,
dinner, you know. So what the fuck? Have you ever had one pot pie? They're tiny. It's embarrassing. Don't ever eat a pot pie. Anyway,
yeah. We had a German Shepherd named Jackson, and we used to feed him pot pies. There you go.
what
And
happened to Jackson
he's dead.
from the pot pies?
Maybe I don't know. So anyway, hey,
Yeah, you segued out of
breezing
that.
past that, yeah.
Hey, dead dog. All
Yeah.
right, well back.
So the movie starts off with them cleaning up the mess left behind from Child's Play 2. Now, for some reason, cleaning up the mess involves using, how would you, like, pinchers? What would
Okay,
you
the arcade game that you get something
Yeah,
out of.
the claw. Like, yeah, and they stabbed into Chucky, so his blood then dribbles out into the vat of like doll mixture as they go over, and that's how Chucky comes back to life in this movie. Is that his blood gets mixed into, you know, the doll mix or whatever. I don't know why they wouldn't just clean this shit up by hand.
Okay, yeah, what?
Why they had to bring in the claw and shit to get it,
I
but
think you can make an argument that they were trying to salvage as much as they could. So that was like special salvaging, you know,
yeah.
like
I was thinking maybe Chucky's really heavy because, you know, he was sprayed with all that plastic or whatever, so maybe he's like 100 pounds or some shit right now. Because you can kind of see like all the plastic still drooped all around, you know, hanging down off of him.
you know what
But
I think it is?
what's that?
I think they had that epic opening music score and they had to do something to make use of it
Yeah,
because it was just some fucking dude with a shovel. It just wouldn't make sense.
yeah. Yeah, that's the other. Is then through the credits, like the blood, you see the blood mixing into the doll stuff, and eventually you get like the shot of like the head with the no eyes and the blood seeping in and stuff, and it's playing like this epic music. And I was trying to think of how 1 and 2 began, and I think this is the first Child's Play movie that they've done an entrance like that. Usually it's just like, Chucky's here, and you know, but this was like a musical entrance or intro with, you know, this background and stuff, and then it does end a little weird where Chucky, I guess, wakes up and he's like, nah, and we go into his mouth, and but yeah, I dug the intro on this. Also, by the way, if at all, Tyler, you were thinking, hey, wait a minute, if this blood dripped down into this vat of doll mixture, why did it only make one doll? You know, why wouldn't it make a whole bunch of other ones? Don Mancini wanted to do that, but the studio was like, no, they didn't give him enough money to make a bunch of Chucky dolls. So he then reuses that idea for Cult of Chucky later on when we get to that one. Bunch of different Chuckies. So look forward to that. But yeah, so Chucky's back alive. Apparently it's been 8 years since the first Child's Play has taken place. So I don't know. I can't remember how long in between Child's Play 1 and 2 happened. So, but it's been 8 years altogether since the first night of stuff with Chucky began. Where we go into a meeting with like the whatever corporation is behind the good guy dolls.
The worst meeting ever. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so bad.
That is the same CEO dude from the second one who's the CEO here too, you know. The guy who was like, get this fucking doll on my face and like gives it back to his the lackey, who then Chucky kills in the park. Which is weird that, like, that guy, I guess maybe that CEO dude could think, oh, maybe this guy killed himself, because it was at a park in a secluded place and he, like, got shot in the head or something. But he doesn't think it's weird at all that, like, the doll that was supposed to be possessed that he gave to his partner, and then the guy turned up dead that night. You know what I mean? And, like, he doesn't think, hey, wait a minute, maybe something's up here.
There's just a really weird scene where he, like, I'm skipping ahead a little.
It's all right.
But the fucking his assistant's like, I'm going home for the day, and he just looks at him and goes, I guess I could I'll look at this report at dinner. Yeah. I was like, why did they put that in? Like, what? Like this? What does that guy? Does he come back in the next one? I doubt it, because it's like 20 years later.
I don't think so. No. But yeah, so this whole meeting is because one guy at the meeting is like, hey, we went through a bunch of lawsuits and shit because of this Andy Barclay stuff. And apparently they've taken the good guy doll off the market since the last movie. So he's like, I don't see why we would want to put him back on the market and open ourselves up to a whole new, a whole new world of lawsuits if another kid claims something happened, But this girl in the meeting is like, nah, we can make a whole bunch of fucking money. No one remembers Andy Barclay. And so the CEO dude from the second one is here, and he's just sort of sitting there listening to all this. And then finally he's like, all right, listen, we're a business, so fuck them kids, we're putting it back on the market. Like, that's basically his whole speech, is he's like, kids are just the fucking consumer. We don't give a shit about them. So he's decided to put the good guy dolls back on the market. And in celebration of him putting the dolls back on the market, because I guess these people assumed he was going to do that already, they have the first good guy doll of the 90s right here in the packaging, and they want him to be the first guy to have one. And when they hand it to him, we get, like, the first person shot from inside the packaging that's supposed to be, like, Chucky staring back at the guy and shit. They're also, I know there's some in 1 and 2, but it did seem like this third one had more just random loud noises when it cut to something than the previous two movies did combined. So he's got Chucky. He's like, all right, cool. This will be cool, That's what he said. And he just
throws it to the side, right? He doesn't even care.
Yeah, he goes back to, like, his penthouse, and he just, like, puts it on the side. And he's just chilling out in here. He's got, like, the Wonder Woman logo on his door, which isn't the Wonder Woman logo at all, but it's just the W and the W under it, and it looks like the Wonder Woman logo they made for the movies nowadays. And I was like, what's that logo supposed to be? But yeah, he's in here. He's fucking putt golf and shit. He's watching the news, and then of course, we pan over at some point and we see that Chucky's out of his packaging. And then, Chucky turns off the news. So the guy comes over and he's, like, digging under the fucking couch for his remote. And you see Chucky, like, slide it over to him so the guy can find it, and he turns the TV back on. But then all of a sudden, all the toys that this guy has in his fucking penthouse just start coming to life and attacking him and shit. It was like that scene out of Toy Story where the fucking toys attack Sid, and he was like, no. But I do like, also, because Chucky sets up where the guy, as he's backing up from, like, I think something spooked him and he's backing up, and Chucky throws out a bunch of marbles. And so he eats shit on the marbles. And then they have, like, this police car, RC car, come at his head. And they make it real tense, so he dodges it right before he hits it. And I was like, if it would just be,
Yeah, it wouldn't have done much.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck's throwing cars in here?
Yeah. So, also, who the fuck, is Chucky somehow manning all these? Because he's manning the RC car, he's flying a helicopter, he's
There's
somehow
a toy train
a
too.
toy train. He's somehow setting off 2 different good guy dolls. Which way the fuck did they come from when they just gave him the first good guy doll of the '90s? So did he just have 2 that were sitting there? Like,
So they want you to believe.
what do they want me to believe?
Well,
that's the first doll.
Yeah, they show other little good guy empty boxes later.
Oh, okay. Anyway, those good guy dolls, he ends up going over to him, and he smacks him in the head. And when he turns around, Chucky is like, ah! He just yells, and he hits the guy in the head with one of the putters. And immediately, the first line of the movie is one of Chucky's most famous lines, which is, "Don't fuck with the Chuck." And I did not remember that's his first line of the movie. Yeah, and so he whacked the dude on the head, and the dude's like, oh shit, and he tries to get away, but Chucky just, like, throws a dart into his back, which I guess reaches deep enough into the spine that it paralyzes this guy.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. And so the dude, now he's, like, crawling around, and his legs don't work, fucking idiot, the legs don't work, just walk. And finally, he's, like, going for the phone, and Chucky comes up behind him with a yo-yo and fucking strangles him. He lives up to the Lakeshore Strangler or whatever the fuck his name was. And yeah, he strangles the dude. The dude has a real dumb death face as he died. He's got his tongue peeking out and shit. And yeah, so Chuck, his first kill of the movie, and then, like I mentioned, right after that, they show him walk over this guy's body, and it's just like 2 feet dangling from a string. And immediately Chucky hops on a computer and finds somehow Andy Barclay's whole, like, where he is, how old he is, like.
Supposedly they have the file because they've been keeping up on it.
Yeah. I guess. I was trying to think, like, how would Charles Lee Ray know how to work a computer? You know what I mean? Like,
well, he hasn't been dead. He's just been in that doll.
Yeah, but for 8 years.
Maybe they had him facing the computer at the factory.
But he was... Well, he was dead. Because he says later on he's in a completely new body. Like, his blood... his blood. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Like, hey, what gang are you in? Blah blah.
The blood.
I'm a blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the computer thing's weird because it's like an old computer too. So you're like, ooh. Fun.
Gross. So he finds Chucky. He finds Andy. This is a mess. I told y'all it was gonna be weird. He finds Andy. Andy is 16 years old at this point. He's played by a different actor because, of course, they didn't fucking, they couldn't get 8-year-old. I forgot his name. The kid that plays Andy to grow up, in fucking 9 months. And he's at a military academy because he's been in and out. We'll learn later. Basically, he ends up living the life that Kyle was living before him, which is just in and out of foster homes. And he's like, oh yeah, no one ever felt like family, and they say he has adjustment problems, and the killer doll thing still is always near him because he's a fucking weird kid who claimed that a bunch of these murders was a doll. Does he mention Kyle at all in this movie?
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah, which is weird because I could have sworn he said like a line the last time I watched this.
Didn't he? He pulls out a picture at some point. I don't remember what
it was. His mom and him. It wasn't
the
Kyle
first
and
picture
him.
from the last one, right?
Yeah. And so
that's the questions. Where's Kyle?
I don't know. I mean, Kyle pops up in the TV show, but she, I guess, is just gone for. Maybe she pops up in Cult or Curse of Chucky. I'm not sure, but she's in the TV show. But I guess they just didn't mention her at all in this movie. Not that I can remember. Um, but yeah, so Andy, it's his first day. Also, too, it's his first day at this military school. So Chucky, I guess, just lucked out, and his first day alive is also the first day that Chucky.
Yeah, what happens if it was 6 months later? He like fits in, he's cool, everyone's like good friends with him. He's piping down homegirl, like,
it's
and
just...
then they show up and oh fuck, the whole army's against me.
Yeah.
Chucky just gets like just beating the fuck out of him constantly.
Yeah, but of course it just so happens to be the first day where he's getting fucking bullied by people, and no one trusts him and shit. Yeah, his first day here, like I said, he talks to the head colonel dude, and they mentioned his like behavioral problems in the past. And then he leaves there and goes to the barber, who's in charge of cutting hair. The barber is making his third appearance on the podcast. Last seen Tyler in Hellraiser 2. He's the fucking cuck husband from Hellraiser. And then he pops up as a dead guy in Hellraiser 2, So, shout out to him. And how would you even... I guess he has, like, a hair fetish? Or he's just really weird about hair in this movie? Like, it's just a really weird character. I don't dislike it. I just find it's just weird.
I don't know if it's a hair fetish or what it is. It's crazy. I don't
know. I'm trying to think if he ever did anything that was super like smelling hair or something. Besides just me being like over eager for his job, maybe. I don't know. He was later on going to give a haircut to a doll though, so that's kind of weird. But
when you learn how to cut hair, that's what you do.
That is what you do. But I think people usually buy like mannequin heads though. But then again, Chucky's got a big ass head on him, so it might count. But anyway, yeah, he meets the barber. Also in here, we meet Tyler.
Hey.
Yeah, who's this little black kid, Tyler.
Look, Tyler's a bro. Tyler's gonna be a bro.
Yeah, and and Tyler's basically, I guess, the second main character of this movie. But Tyler basically takes over Andy's position from 1 and 2, where he's like the new meat and the new kid that Chucky will like try to manipulate later on.
Other than him being a moron, he was a far better Andy in every way.
I don't know, man. My problem is like the kid like Andy was like 6 or 5, and this kid was much older than Andy was in Child's Play 1. And plus, he's got a Nintendo Switch, which I don't know how the fuck he got that back in 91.
I mean, it's a Game Genie, but okay.
Also,
the second one, a Game Gear?
I don't know. I'm just now thinking about it. This movie doesn't take place in 91. Because the last movie
takes place in 2028, the future.
It doesn't. Oh. It takes place in 98. Because it's been 8 years. Well, I guess maybe just 96 or something. Like I said, because it's not 8 years since the second one. It's 8 years since the first one. I don't know. But it's not, so it's not 91. There's a little time jump there. But yeah, and he's got like a video game and shit. And then like he sees the Good Guy commercial. And he's like, wow. And he's like super hype on the Good Guy. And I'm like, man, you got like fucking Ninja Turtles or whatever on there. Like, you don't need that shit.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, he gets his head shaved. And then the barber is like, presto, you bald.
It's a horrible job. He does a horrible. I don't know if he can't cut black folks' hair or whatever, but it looks horrible.
It does. Yeah. Well, also, like, when he's cutting Andy's hair, he's just, like, cutting different chunks with his scissors. And I'm like, man, if this was... it's military school. Why wouldn't you just shave?
It all.
Yeah, but everyone has different hairstyles in this military school. Also...
the worst part...
he says, presto, you're bald, like, 3 times. No one is ever bald when he says that. Everyone still has hair. Tyler still had plenty of hair He says it to White Steve Urkel later on. White Steve Urkel still has hair.
Yeah, the nerdy guy.
I will be calling him Steve Urkel for the remainder of the podcast.
The crazy part is he's like, I gotta get that hair off you, Andy. Mm-hmm. And then he gets done cutting, and I swear the fucking kid has more hair than when he started.
Yeah, like it's pushed up and shit.
It's just styled.
He put some product in it. Anyway, he meets the barber. The guy's real weird, and he talks about how fucking the Romans invented the military cut so people couldn't pull their hair back and slice their throat, and he like runs the scissors under his head.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So anyway, as Andy's getting the haircut, like I said, it plays the good guy doll commercial, and Tyler's all like, "Oh shit, this is the coolest thing ever." But Andy starts getting PTSD flashbacks and shit. That must suck for him. Like he's going into the military, and he's already got PTSD. He's gonna be fucked by the end of this.
Well, back then it wasn't PTSD; it was called shell shock.
Yeah, shell shock. And if you talked about it, you were a pussy. Shell shock sounds pretty cool.
Right? Like, you come back from, like, fighting in fucking Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
You lost a leg. You saw your friends die and stuff.
Yeah.
And some fucking nerd is like, "Do you suffer from PTSD?" And you're like, "Yes, I do." Or do you want someone to be like, "Oh, motherfucker, you said you shell shock?"
And you're, hoorah.
Yeah, right? Like, why did we change it?
I don't know. We start a petition. We bring it back.
I'm calling my governor right now. Fucking, where's my phone? Don't think he's gonna answer, guys, but I'm calling.
I'm calling that motherfucker.
Because you don't even call the governor. You're like, I'm calling fucking Chick-fil-A right now.
Listen here, you chicken fucks.
Whatever you think is best. You make a pretty good sandwich. All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Like, stop calling us.
Give me that lemonade too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what the fuck is happening. So Andy leaves. He's got his new haircut. He goes to his room. We're introduced to his roommate. Like I said, White Steve Urkel, who's tied up in the fucking closet. And
all right, this fucking dude.
Yeah.
He's like untying him, and this dude's acting like he's the biggest prick ever. Oh, I got it. What are you?
Yeah,
like, you were tied in a closet like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Don't act like you were good. You weren't good.
No.
So.
But this whole scene is basically just to introduce the school bully. That it's either Sheldon or Shelton. I wasn't sure if it was a T or a D in there. But the dude is a major D. And apparently he's an asshole. And you like how I tied that in? That came off the brain. And he fucking bullies Urkel. And just, he's an asshole to everybody. And it turns out that he's the lieutenant colonel of this school. So he's got some major pull. So it's not like he's just another bully you could sort of stick up to. Because, like, this kid's like... I don't know.
The whole time watching this, all I could think of is you're messing with a future Army
U.S.
soldier.
Army soldier. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, this is the straight up like Sheldon is the ROTC kid you went to school with.
Yeah.
Who like took everything way too seriously. God, I fucking had kids like that in my school, and I remember had buddies who were in ROTC, and if they didn't have their fucking hat that they called a fucking a cover. I think is what they called it.
Depends where you are. Some people call it, cover. Other people call it lid, But,
yeah, I think they called it covers here, and I was always like, it's a fucking hat. Stop calling it. It's not a cover. And if they weren't like wearing it or something, like one of the kids who was a higher rank would come by, and he'd be like, "You need to give me push-ups," and they would do it, and I would be like, "What the fuck are you doing right now?" But I wasn't a future U.S. Army soldier, so who am I to say anything? So Annie helps out the roommate. They go outside for like initiation, I guess. And everyone's lined up in formation, and we're introduced to Sheldon, Lieutenant Colonel Sheldon, who is besides Chucky, he's like the main bad guy in this whole fucking movie. And immediately he starts giving Andy a hard time because Andy's the new guy. And he's like, I tell you, you could fucking look at me, you know, and this is what I mean by like it just feels straight like a Full Metal Jacket ripoff because Andy's like, you know, the guy's like, do you think I'm a joke? And Andy's like, no, sir. And he's like, well, tell me I'm a joke. And he's like, well, I don't want to, sir, because I think you'll get mad at me again, sir. You know? And then immediately he leaves Andy and goes over to Urkel. And he's like, holy Jesus, you are the worst piece of shit I have ever seen in my life. And the guy's like, thank you, sir. You know? And it's just like Arlie Ermy at the beginning of fucking Full Metal Jacket.
Or the end of Texas Chainsaw. Hey.
Yeah. Which, funny enough, later on, the climax of this movie takes place at like a carnival, and I couldn't help but think about that one random fucking scene in Texas 3D where the chick's running away and Leatherface, and they go through a carnival, and he like throws the chainsaw at the cop, and he's like woo, into the woods. But yeah, so yeah, Sheldon's shit talking everybody, and then the only person who sticks up to him is this chick named De Silva, who is like, you're an asshole, and so he's like, give me 25 push-ups or whatever, and so you know she does, and De Silva will be the love interest throughout this movie. She is played by, I didn't know it was her until after I was looking to see if anyone was in movies we'd watched. She's not, if I remember, but she does play Ari's wife in Entourage, Mrs. Ari, who I think in the Entourage movie they gave her a real name, but I don't remember what it was. But so she was in a whole bunch of Entourage episodes. But so you know, shout out to that. But yeah, so she's the love interest, and she's also like where she's like really good at shooting, and she's like they have a whole scene later where she's having to like teach Andy how to shoot, you know, it's like the reverse, like the guy teaching pool and shit.
I feel like back in the day, in order to have a good female character, they thought they had to make her amazing at everything. Yeah. So in order, or completely useless, right? Those were like the two extremes. You had damsel in distress or badass lady who didn't take shit from nobody.
Yeah.
And so instead of just making her just a female character, they had to make her like the rebel who stood up for the nerds, who was sexy and also could do everything and all this other stuff. And it was like, guys, she could have just been like half of this thing, you know? But
yeah.
And this is weird. It's the first movie I watched where the love interest isn't like pursued. Like she chases him. Like he's not like, oh, I gotta save her.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I think like Andy the whole time, like she might be interested, and Andy's just like, fucking doll, man, I gotta. And he's just trying to stop this killer doll. So, yeah, I don't know. Also, jumping, I mean, way ahead, but it is the classic thing where they literally have that one scene that I just mentioned where Andy can't hit shit, and she's got like the 3 bullseyes or whatever, or not bullseyes, but it's in the middle.
Yeah.
And so she's like trying to teach Andy how to shoot, right? That's the only scene they mention in that. That's like 30 minutes in. The climax of the movie, she ends up being the only one with the gun, and her only shot, it's like completely misses Chucky, and then she has to give Andy the gun, you know, because earlier on, guys, he couldn't shoot, remember that? So now he's got to land the shot. And it's like, gee, you know, if only we could have spent a couple more things of like, oh man, Andy can't shoot. But, you know, so that's your one little scene where later it comes back. So anyway, yeah, so that whole scene introduced Sheldon as the bully. After that, Tyler goes to the mailroom to see if he has a letter from his dad, because apparently his dad like flies jets or something.
I think he's dead.
Oh yeah, you think they just haven't told him yet?
Yeah, I think they're like, he's out fighting jets.
Yeah,
and he's like, I know.
Yeah, they never say where the mom is though. I guess the mom could be dead, but
yeah, they killed the mom and he's in prison.
Oh fuck, it's even darker.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so they don't have any mail from the dad, but they do have a package that is clearly a good guy doll, it's going to Barkley. So they're like, can you take this to him? And he's like, yeah, you know. So he's taking it to Andy, but on his way there, he goes up some stairs and this kid bumps into him. And so the package falls down the stairs. which all I can imagine is Chucky being, what the fuck is going on? And just eating shit down these stairs. And the packaging rips, and Tyler sees that it says good guy doll on the side. So immediately he's like, fuck this Andy dude, I'm going to steal his shit. And he just takes the doll for his own. And he opens it up, and there's a good guy doll, and he's like, oh, wow, you know? And then I love just this opening where Chucky busts out. He's like, ah! And then he's just, who the fuck are you? He's just...
Who the fuck are you?
Which I don't know why, like... I mean, he could see. It's clear packaging, so could he not see that, hey, this isn't Andy, you know? Unless he's got a tan. And then he just jumps out, and you know, and goes, and then he's like, "Who are you?" You know, but yeah, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm Tyler. You know, what's going on?" And Chucky is like, "Ah, fuck this," you know. But then he stops to think, and this is when he goes, "Well, hey, wait a minute, you know, this is a new body, and I haven't told anyone who I am yet, so maybe I don't need Andy after all." So he introduces himself to Tyler and tells him that his real name is Charles Lee Ray. Chucky is basically doing what I thought was the reason why his spell didn't work in 2, because I thought he revealed himself to that good guy doll dude first, and that's why when he did it to Andy, it didn't work, but apparently he was just in the body too long. But in this one, he's like, oh no, I can tell someone else now. So he tells Tyler what his real name is, and immediately just starts to play Hide the Soul with Tyler. And he's doing the whole fucking, you know, give me the power, I beg of you, in the clouds and shit. But of course, it gets interrupted by the head colonel. Colonel Cochran is his name. It gets interrupted by Colonel Cochran and this other dude. So yeah, so they get interrupted by Colonel Cochran, and he's like, I say, what's going on here, you know?
That fucking dude was horrible, by the way, the colonel.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what voice he was going for, or if that's just his normal voice. But it was something. It was always just like kind of a southern gentleman, but like, I don't know. But he's like, you got a doll? We don't play with dolls here, you know? And so he's like, dolls are for girls. And then he's immediately like takes it. And he's like, give me that shit. And so as he's leaving, Chucky says in the Chucky voice, I'll be back. And then I always like when shit like this happens. But the colonel's walking out and he like accidentally bumps Chucky's head on the door and shit. I just always like when stuff like that happens. So he takes Chucky. We cut back outside to Andy and them, who are still doing like gun exercises, just switching the gun to the different sides. Or I'm sorry, the rifle. And they're switching the rifle to different sides. And Andy looks over and he sees Colonel Cochran carrying Chucky away by the hair. And as he's walking, like Chucky's body like turns. So it's like him and Andy are staring at each other, and it's in slow motion. It's a really cool scene. When we get to best of, worst of, it might honestly be my best of. Was the like slow mo and like I don't know, the way Chucky's body just turns perfectly to look at him. It's really good. And so once again, Andy goes shell shocked, and he drops the rifle and shit. And Sheldon's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Andy?" You know, and he goes over there. And he's like, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry, I dropped my gun." And Sheldon's like, "That's not a gun, that's a rifle." And then he's like, "Cooper, come over here. Explain to Andy what the difference is between a rifle and a gun."
He gets incredibly close to him.
Yeah. And once again, this is like straight out of Full Metal Jacket, where he's like, "This is my rifle, this is my gun," and he grabs his dick, and he's like, "This one is for killing, and this is for fun." And like I was like,
And it's just the cringiest shit. It's just so bad.
Yeah. So Chucky immediately Colonel Cochran just throws him into like the garbage outside, and there's a garbage truck there, literally taking the trash as he throws it in. So Chucky gets dumped into the back of this garbage truck, and he starts calling for help. He's like, "Sir, please, you gotta help me."
His shit. He's like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah.
Like, it's good
And so the garbage dude like gets out and he goes digging into the trash, and like the guy like it's always when you watch slashes like this, whenever you find someone who looks like they're actually a good person, you're always like, oh, that's good. Just because he seems so worried, and he's like, stick your hand up, I got you, buddy, I got you. And he was like looking, and meanwhile, of course, Chuck has snuck gone into the front seat and hit some levers, and he starts the what is it? It's not, what do you call it? Just where he crushes everything.
The compactor,
I guess. Compactor, yeah.
This one was different. This one had a spinning wheel
of
doom in the back.
Spike spin, yeah, like some Indiana Jones shit back there. And the dude's like, "Oh my god!" He goes crawling, trying to make it out, but he can't make it out, and so he's got like his arm up there, and the thing fucking crushes his arm. I will say we are still in the age where like Chucky doesn't have that many like gory deaths. Like when we get to Bride and stuff, I think they start upping the gore, so you don't see the arm get cut off, but you just hear the scream. And then the kids over in the field here, and they come running over, and you see like the bloody arm sticking up there, but you never see like it actually get fucking cut off or whatever. But presumably, that guy was just crushed to death in there, so he is dead. And of course, since Andy just saw Chucky like a second ago, he's like, "Oh shit, this isn't good."
Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again.
Like the GTA thing, you know, the guys walking.
Yeah, one of these days I might play San Andreas. I know they remade them all, but it looked really bad, if I remember right. Like, somehow they were like, how'd they make this shit look worse? But I never played
How dare you?
I never played San Andreas. So, yeah.
GTA 5, maybe. That's what we need to play.
Yeah, I played that one.
Maybe we bought it, even.
GTA 5 is the only one I ever finished. I played GTA 4, didn't finish it. I beat both DLCs. The motorcycle one and Gay Tony, and then I just never finished the main game. So, and my cousin let me play fucking Vice City one time, I think, or was that 4? Isn't it GTA Vice City was one of them?
Oh well, yeah,
I think so. I think he let me play that one once. Anyway, what were you saying?
Getting way off topic.
Yeah,
I've never played a Grand Theft Auto, so it's okay.
What?
Horror is my life. I ain't no poser like you.
Yeah.
All I do is horror day in and day out.
Yeah. So that night, Andy's roommate, you know, like I would just...
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That night, Andy's roommate is like, "Hey, I'm going to go take a shower." And Andy's like, "Cool." So the guy leaves the room, and as soon as he leaves the room, like the chest in the corner, it opens up, and Chucky's in there. And he's like, he starts to peek out, but the guy comes back. And he's like, "Hey, Andy, they were wanting to know if you got that package earlier. That little kid Tyler was supposed to bring it." And he's like, "No, I didn't get no package." And Urkel's like, "Oh, weird, you know?" So he leaves again, and Andy takes like his clothes, and he goes over to that same chest we saw, and he opens up. But Chucky's gone, and so he's, you know, so it's like, oh, where'd he go? So he puts the clothes away. He puts out that picture, like I said, of him and his mom. It is still weird to me that, from my recollection, that the mom never comes back in any of the sequels, in any of the show. I don't know. Maybe in Curse or Cult, there's like a line where maybe she dies or something. But yeah, the mom just never comes back. Seems like, you know, she would reappear at some point, but never does.
She's getting the help that she needs. Right?
I think she's just locked up. I don't know how much help they're giving her, but, you know, they're helping her from herself.
Yeah,
you know?
There you go.
Yeah.
We can all use that sometimes, right?
Fucking
looking back in life.
Suicidal tendencies. But I went to your schools. I went to your churches. Anyway.
I wasn't going that way at all with it, but all right.
Well, that's because they're like, we got to help you from yourself. And he's like, fuck you, Pepsi. You know? So anyway, Andy sits back down on the bed, and then Chucky pops out with a knife, and he goes to cut Andy's like Achilles heel, but I guess he like misses because Andy's fine. But he tries to, it doesn't work. But he pops out and he's like, "Hey, been a long time, kid." And Andy's like, "No, no, this can't be." And he like puts a chair in front of him. And then Chucky's like, "Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna kill you." But Andy is like, "Nah, you can't kill me. You need me to put your soul into my body." Which, once again, that is true, but that's never stopped Chucky from almost killing Andy a whole bunch of times in the last two movies. And so, fucking Chucky's like, "Oh, well, that's where you're wrong, wimp." So I laughed so fucking hard at him calling Andy a wimp. I was like, what?
Why?
I don't know. It just, out of everything you call him, you just called him a wimp. I was like, oh, fuck. He means business.
He's not fucking around.
He's fucking mad, dude.
He pulled out the big W.
So he calls him a wimp. And then Andy manages to put together the, "Oh shit, well, Tyler was supposed to bring him here, so you must have told Tyler." And Chucky goes, "Yeah, that's right. Chucky's gonna be a bro." Like the hand movement, he does like a fist bump. And yeah, once again, very famous Chucky line.
"You need to transfer your soul into my body."
Wrong again, wimp. I got some fresh meat lined up, and I'm not gonna let you spoil it, not this time.
Tyler.
Yeah. Just think. Chucky's gonna be a bro.
I'm not gonna let you get away with this.
Chucky's gonna be a bro. And so he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take Tyler's body." And so Andy's like, "Nah, if I got anything to say about it." And he just fucking grabs Chucky and just starts slamming his head into the ground. And just in time, of course, for Sheldon to bust in and be like, "What the fuck is going on?
You playing with dolls? What?"
Yeah.
All this.
There's also this whole bullshit where Urkel was like having to polish dude's shoes, and somehow in the scuffle, like they knocked over the shoes and got them dirty or scuffed. So the guy's like, "Tell Urkel he's off the case, and you're my new slave."
I think it was Winehurst.
Yeah, it definitely is like Windhurst or something like that. But to me, it's Urkel. So yeah, so he's like, "You're my new slave, and I'm taking your fucking doll." So he takes Chucky. So that night, Andy has no choice but to sneak into Sheldon's room with this little bullshit pocket knife he has that I think might be Kyle's pocket knife. Didn't she give him a pocket knife in the second one?
I don't remember. It's been like
sure.
3 weeks since we watched
it. Has been a while, yeah. So
last week.
Yeah. So he sneaks into to Sheldon's room, and he's looking for Chucky, and he can't find him. And eventually, Chucky pops out behind Andy. Oh, he saw that on the board where all these knives are, a knife was missing, so he knew Chucky like had a knife or whatever. And so Chucky pops out behind him, and he's got this big ass knife, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And he falls back, and he lands on the Sheldon. And so Sheldon wakes up, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my room?" And he like holds him by the throat. And this whole thing is just because then Chucky ran away. So Sheldon's like, you took the doll. And he's like, "No, I didn't." And he's like, "Well, who did?" But Andy won't tell him. So he's like, "Well, we'll find out, And that's all he's concerned about. He's not concerned that Andy snuck into his room with a fucking knife. Like, I kept expecting that to happen. Like, he looks down and he's like, "Why you have that knife?"
Oh, fuck, this guy tried to kill me.
Yeah, but no, he never mentions the knife. He's just like, "You took my fucking doll, bro. What are you doing?" So, to punish Andy, basically, he gets everyone up from their bunks and outside to march around in the rain until he finds who took the doll. Even though he's convinced it's Andy, he either expects Andy to admit it, or it just gets everyone else to not like Andy because now they're having to fucking walk around. A la Full Metal Jacket when, everyone has to run laps. While he's sitting there eating his jelly donut or whatever. And then they soap his ass.
The crazy thing is, it's like, you caught me in the room. Where do you think I put the doll?
Yeah. Up your ass. I don't know.
That's what I don't understand. It's like you woke up. It's not like you saw me run out. You know, I was here.
Yeah. So
Asshole.
as everyone's outside, this puts up a great opportunity for Chucky to sneak over to Tyler's room, where I guess Tyler. It's weird. Tyler and the Silva and whoever the other chick is, because she just randomly pops up in this part, and they never introduced her before, so I don't even know what her name was. But I guess they don't have to go outside, but everyone else did for some reason. Well, not everyone else, because we see, like, later they play war games, and there's, like, a whole fucking bunch of people. So it's only maybe that floor had to go that Andy was on.
That platoon.
Yeah,
you know?
something like that.
I don't
So
know,
Chucky sneaks into Tyler's room, and he sees a note that's like, "It's your turn to come find me from your best friend, Tyler." And Chucky's like, "God damn it," you know? So he's going out, and he's looking for Tyler. And Tyler's like, comes up behind him at the end of the hall, and he's like, "You gotta find me." And then he like runs away, and he goes and he hides in this closet. And Chucky goes in, and this was another line where he's like, "All right, I'm gonna find you. Fucking get out of here, you little son of a bitch." Like, and I guess either Tyler doesn't hear that, or he thinks he's still just playing around. So after this is when De Silva and the other girl randomly pop up in Colonel Cochran's office, and I guess they're trying just to look through the files of Andy, because he's new and they want to see what's up with him or something. And right before they flip to the page where it has the whole thing about the killer doll, they hear a noise in the closet, and they open it up and they find Tyler and Chucky in there. So they're like, "Oh, look, you're playing with dolls, you know?" So they take Chucky and they put like some lipstick on him and shit. And Tyler's like, "Stop, you're making him look dumb, you know?" But they're laughing and they're putting lipstick, but then they hear Colonel Cochran coming, and they're like, "We gotta get out of here." So they leave Chucky behind. Tyler wants to bring him, but they're like, "No, leave him there." So they leave Chucky. The Colonel comes in and he sees Chuck and he's like, "This is stupid." And I've always thought this was weird, because I swear this has happened twice in these movies, where he goes and he dumps Chucky into the trash, like face first, or head, and so his toes are sticking up. But I've always thought is like, that's your office trash can. Like, you can fit nothing else in that trash can now, so you're just gonna have this doll. Like, what? Then you're just gonna throw out the one doll? Like, it just always seems so dumb, just putting the doll in the trash can like that. I never understand it. It bothers me every time. But anyway, he throws him in the trash can. He takes a couple more steps and he looks back and Chucky's gone, and he's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" And then Chucky pops out in front of him and he's like, "Ah!" And he's got the knife, and Colonel Cochran goes, "Ugh!" And he grabs his chest, and he starts sweating profusely, and he is having a heart attack. And Chucky's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me." And he falls back on like this glass table where there's like this war battle reenactment. And he falls over and he's dead of a heart attack, which I'm pretty sure they're redoing in Chucky season 2, because like he does it to the nun or whatever. And what was the line he said that was like, it was like, "Oh, you know."
I've never watched the show.
Well, yeah, but the season 2, it's the trailer. It was fucking weird. Fuck, I don't remember it. But anyway, so I think they're redoing that death as well. But yeah. So the dude had a heart attack and died. The next day, well, also, yeah, they find his body later and they're like, "Oh man, I can't believe he's dead." The next day at the cafeteria, they like have a whole like prayer for him and shit, and they sit down and they eat. The barber is walking through and he's yanking people's head back, and he's like, "I want to see you Wednesday," or whatever. And there's like one kid who's like bald, and he runs over and "My man," and he like, and the kid's like, "Yeah." So he's picking everyone for haircuts. He picks Urkel, and then he also picks like Andy and shit. And he's like, I want to see you guys there. I do think it's kind of weird because as he walks by the two girls, like, the Silva, like, shakes her hair. Because I guess the girls don't have to get their hair cut.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that doesn't seem... Like, you get your hair pulled more than, like, Andy's hair, how it was.
Well, back then, they weren't allowed in combat and stuff.
That is true. Yeah, so maybe... I guess they didn't have to fucking worry about it. So, Andy gets up in the middle of the lunch, and he goes over to where Tyler is. And he's like, hey, Tyler, Chucky's real bad news. Don't trust him. He fucking hurts people. And Tyler's like, you're just jealous that he's my best friend now. And, you know, he doesn't want to talk to you. And so he doesn't believe Andy. So Andy is like, well, here, take this. And he gives him that little pocket knife for protection. After that, we cut over to the barber who is giving Urkel a fucking haircut. And even the barber is bullying Urkel. He's like, you're the worst piece of shit I've ever seen and shit. And, like, he's like, you make your parents sick. And just fucking berating him for some reason.
Yeah, he was like, can you just cut my hair?
Yeah.
He's like, no.
And so he cuts Urkel's hair, and Urkel leaves. And after he leaves, the dude is, like, cleaning up. And he goes into his cabinet, and, like, he finds Chucky. He's like, what the fuck are you doing in here, you know? And then he's like, oh, man, your hair is awful long there. How about a haircut? So he puts Chucky in the chair, and he's going to cut his hair, and then Chucky grabs, I guess, just a straight razor that is connected by a wire on the chair, because it looks like it's dangling down by his side. And so he gets the straight razor, and when the dude comes up, he just slices his throat, which, you know, like Tyler said, foreshadowing, you know, you get killed by they cut your throat, and Chucky says, presto, you're dead. And yeah.
He has the best lines in this.
It is. They do have to remind you, though, that guy says that, because right before Urkel leaves, he was like, presto, you're bald, to be like, hey, remember that guy says this, so this joke lands better in a second. Yeah. So he cuts dude's throat and kills him, and then Urkel comes back, because I guess he forgot his hat or something, and he sees that Chucky just killed him, and Chucky's like, boo, you know, and so Urkel runs away. And so now Urkel knows, you know, what's happened. And earlier when they were in the rain, he had asked Andy what was going on. And Andy was like, you don't want to know. And Urkel was like, come on, tell me. And he said that, you know, Chucky's alive and he's after Tyler. And he's like, all right, I don't want to know, you know. So now he knows that, like, the dude wasn't bullshitting. This is real. Outside, they're getting ready to play war games. They do it every year. And this year it's in memory of Colonel Cochran. And, you know, he would want to do it. Pretty simple shit. Red team, blue team. You know, bring back the enemy's flag to base and you win. Their ammo, they have fucking paintball rounds and these rifles. And you know, and yeah, it's war games. Which I don't think, by the way, they use fucking paintball rounds in real war games. Because if I remember,
bullets, motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah. If I remember right, my dad said it was more like fucking laser tag, where you had like a vest and like the guns had the fucking, you know, and it would go off and be like, oh, you're dead. So I don't think they were using paintballs, but you know, who knows? Paintballs could be happening. So as they're getting ready, they're talking about all the rules. Urkel comes running out and like putting his fucking blue arm band on and shit. And De Silva can see that something's like up with him, and she's like, what's going on, you know? But he's like, nothing. And so that's a thing. Like, he refuses to tell anyone what he saw. And even Andy, as they're marching later, Andy's like, you saw something, you know what's up. And he was like, no, I'm not going to tell anyone. And they make it like a big thing that he won't tell anyone. Like, later we'll get to it. The blue team has Andy, and there's a whole thing going on. And he's like, Chucky's after Tyler. Tell him, fucking Winster or whatever his name is. But he doesn't tell him. And so, you know, no. And they make it like, oh, man, fuck this guy. He won't tell him. Who the fuck is going to believe the nerd? You know, like, this guy isn't liked by anybody but Andy, who no one likes. And then the two chicks, I think he might maybe been dating the chick. I don't know her name because she seemed really broken up about his death. So it's like even if he told anyone, the whole thing, no one believes Andy any of the time he tells anybody. You know, even when there's two
blame
people.
him, though. I mean,
yeah, I can't blame him. Yeah,
he's kind of a prick, you know. So.
Oh well, I just thought it was more like the doll's alive. You know, like I don't know. But then again, yeah, and you know, this is back then. Obviously, me, if you were like, "Hey, Thomas, this doll's alive, it's killing people," I'd be like, "Oh fuck, we gotta kill it." You know, like I wouldn't.
Yeah. You'd be like, "Let me get my bag."
Yeah, I'd be ready. I have a bag packed for this occasion.
It's like, Tom, that's not a bag. It's just a box of Cheez-Its. You're like, it comes in a bag. There's a bag in there. Yeah. Ironically, you don't even like Cheez-Its, but still, like, it's.
All right, they're all right. White cheddar ones, where it's at. So
Sponsor us.
Sponsor, please.
We haven't eaten in days.
Yeah. So that's not.
Yeah.
So as they're giving this whole rundown of the rules, Chucky's in a window and he's listening. So he immediately goes over to the armory and he replaces all of the red team's ammunition with live rounds. He takes out all the paintball ammo. So now the red team has fucking live rounds of ammunition, but they don't know that. Nighttime at the camp, and Andy needs to sneak out to get to Tyler and help him. Also, in this camp scene, him and De Silva get some smooches in, so it's like, I guess, you know, they're a thing now. Which literally, besides the training earlier where she helped him shoot, they don't share any scenes except for in the cafeteria. He gets tripped up on his way to Tyler, and the one girl laughs, and De Silva kind of like nudges her to stop laughing. But besides that, it's nothing, and then they're like kissing. So the love scene is a little, they just kind of threw it in, I think, just for like a love.
Just to be like, oh, okay, this is why this lady cares.
Yeah, it's like, you know, yeah. So Andy goes to Urkel, and he's like, listen, I got the map. I know where the red team is. I want your help to go and help Tyler. But Urkel's like, no, I'm not getting involved. So Andy leaves, and that night it's discovered that someone stole the map, and they see that Andy is missing from his tent. So they're like, the blue team also is being led by Lieutenant Colonel Sheldon. So he's like, that motherfucker went AWOL, and he's working for the Reds. Like they have double agents in war games. And so they're like, all right, well, we got to find Andy now. So Andy is looking for Chucky, and Chucky's out here, or Andy eventually gets to the red camp, and he goes into where Tyler's tent is, but apparently Tyler has gone AWOL with some guy named Charles, and so it's like, ooh, shit. So Chucky's with Tyler. They're out walking in the woods. They see Andy walking, and they like duck so they're not seen. And then Chucky's like, all right, it's time to play Hide the Soul. And Tyler's like, I don't want to play that stupid game. And Chucky's like, you're a real fucking drag, you know that? And fucking Tyler's like, oh, Chucky, come on now. And then Chucky's like, I got a knife! Like, instantly. And Tyler's like, what? You know? And he's like, yeah, that's right, I'm a bad guy. And then Tyler's like, smaller knife. And he stabs him in the shoulder. He fucking runs away. And so, so now Chucky's like, ah, shit. So he goes running. Or he goes looking for Tyler. Andy hears Tyler yelling, so he comes to look for him. But the blue team catches him. And they're like, give us the map. And he's like, listen, Tyler's in trouble. He needs us, you know. And at that moment, Tyler comes running, and he's like, you were right, Chucky's bad, or whatever. And he's like, yeah, Chucky's bad, tell him, Urkel. But Urkel refuses to tell anybody, like they would believe him anyway. And so they're like, fuck you, Andy, we're gonna fuck you up. But just at that moment, they radio De Silva, but she gets ambushed by Chucky. So now Chucky has...
Best ambush scene ever in a movie, by the way.
Yeah,
he's in a tree, and he just falls on him. Keep in mind, he's a 2-pound doll.
Yeah. And so he takes out De Silva, takes her captive, And he radios in, and he's like, come fucking meet me on this hill, or else the girl gets it. And we see he's like holding a fucking grenade.
I was like, where's this grenade come
Chucky,
from?
where'd you get that grenade from? I don't know. So they're like, fuck, we gotta go meet this guy, Charles. And Andy's trying to tell him, like, hey, Charles is bad news. But Sheldon thinks it's just part of the war game. So he's just, acting like it's part of the game. Chucky then radios over to the red team and tells them that the blue team is coming to this position, so they need to be ready to move out. And so he
like changes his voice. He's like, "Hey man, shit's crazy over here." Like,
so he set up the his master plan. So they get to where Chucky is, and literally he's just sitting there or standing there with Da Silva, and he's got the grenade, and he's like, "Give me the boy." And so they make the trade where Tyler is going with him, and Da Silva comes over to where Andy is. And as I was watching, he like pulled the pin on the grenade to be like, "Don't come near me," As I was watching this, I was like, "This is a doll. Couldn't Da Silva just reach down real fast, grab his hand so he can't and just throw him into the woods?"
The whole thing, him as the grenade.
Yeah, like, and just blow him up. But no, they're like, we gotta listen to what the fuck he says, man.
Or just kickball his ass in the next week.
Yeah,
He'll probably have the grenade in his hand. He might drop it. Who knows?
He might, yeah. So Da Silva comes over to Andy, and this is when Sheldon and the blue team pop up, and they're like, "All right, open fire!" And they start shooting paintballs. Chucky does get hit by a paintball, and he's like, "Ah!" He gets hit by a paintball, and then they're like, "All right, we got him." So Sheldon comes walking over, and he's like, "Where is everyone?" And he looks down, and Chucky's standing there, and he's like, "Nice going, fuckwad." And he, like, flips him off. And the guy's like, "Well, goddamn." And then the red team pops up, and they fucking shoot the shit out of Tyler. Not Tyler. That would be... They're like a black guy.
Goddamn.
Oh, I forgot. This is military, not the police. They shoot a fucking... what's his name? Sheldon. They shoot him. He has a bunch of bullets. And, yeah, so it's real weird because Sheldon's a piece of shit this whole movie. But then you think about the way he dies, and that's like a really fucking tragic, like, it was war games switched with live rounds, so probably some of his friends just shot him. It just fucking... Don't laugh at that.
Why are you laughing at this?
There's tragedy. Yeah, and so they kill fucking Sheldon, and then Tyler also. I just remember, I'm laughing like this. Chucky is also laughing like this. So Chucky is so caught up in laughing that he doesn't realize Tyler has crawled away. So when he looks back, he's like, "Oh fuck!" So he's like, "Eat this," and he slow-mo throws the grenade. And it lands, and no one notices because they're so caught up. They think that Andy switched the ammunition to purposely kill Sheldon, so no one notices the grenade except for Urkel, who I guess redeems himself for not telling anyone about Chucky this whole time, and he jumps on the grenade and eats the grenade and blows up. So in the span of 5 minutes, 2 of our main characters just got killed, with Sheldon being taken out and fucking Urkel being killed. Also, Ben wants down. Say bye to Ben.
I heard a weird noise. I didn't know what it was.
That's him.
Sounded like a weird gremlin. It was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, that was him. Anyway, while I let him out, say something.
Something.
Ah, classic. Go out. Go. 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 Before you wind up like...
Spoiler, guys. Spoiler. He's not going.
He went. Well, that was exciting. So... Yeah, so... Sheldon and Urkel just got killed. But Tyler managed to get away. So... He runs to this carnival that has to be taking place less than half a mile away from the fucking war games. And I guess no one heard the multiple gunshots or the grenade that went off. So everyone's just having a great time. Tyler sees like the security booth or the security tent, so he goes running over. He's like, "Hey, you gotta help me. Charles is after me. He's trying to kill me, you know." And the security guard is like, "Whoa, calm down. Here, have this desk gum to make you feel better," and just hands him this random piece of gum he has on the desk. Also, when he opens up the desk, we see like a little ankle holster pistol in there that might something happen with it later. I don't know why I said it like that. So he's talking to the security guy, and the guy's like, "Well, calm down. Here, I got this thing of lost and found. It might make you feel better." And he pulls out, and it's Chucky, and it's like, of course it is, you know. So Andy and De Silva show up just in time to find the security guard dead with a little bullet hole in his head. And seeing as how later on Chucky has like that little pistol I mentioned, I'm gonna assume Chucky fucking shot him in the dome. So they go looking for Tyler. They see him being pulled into like this haunted house ride by Chucky, and there's a great part where Chucky like gets sat on this coffin. But it's animatronic, so the coffin opens, and Chucky's like, "Ah!" He gets thrown off, and the skeleton pops up, and this dude, Tyler, has this killer doll, but the skeleton pops up, and it's like, "Ah!" And Tyler's like, "Holy shit!" He like falls down, and yeah, and he's getting scared by stuff, but I do like this one thing pops out from the wall and scares him, but then he looks over and sees Chucky, and so he immediately like hugs the thing in the wall to like get pulled in. So they're fucking, you know, he's trying to hide from Chucky. Chucky finds him. Andy and De Silva show up just in time for Tyler like run out from the wall and tell them that, hey, Chucky's got a gun. And then he pops out. And like I mentioned, De Silva, this is her one shot, and she completely misses. So Chucky just pops her in the leg, and so De Silva is out of commission the rest of the movie. Now it's up to Andy, and she gives Andy the gun they got from the security officer, by the way. So, Tyler is fucking running, and he eventually steps into, I don't know if it was goo or if it was like plastic
display.
Yeah. Either way, he gets stuck, and Chucky's there. And once again, Chucky needs this kid alive to put his body into his soul. But it looks like he's about to shoot him in the head. But before he can shoot him, this giant skeleton, I think it's supposed to be Death. It's a skeleton with a scythe. The scythe swings down, and I guess this scythe is sharp. Sharp enough to slice off half of a face, because that's what it does to Chucky. Just cuts off it. This ride is full of just lawsuits waiting to happen. But
you're locked in a thing, so no one's supposed to be out and about, right?
I guess, but that's never stopped anybody before.
Well, they deserve to get sliced.
Yeah, I guess so. So it slices off half of Chucky's face. Tyler grabs onto like this gargoyle thing, or not grab on, he gets on top of it and rides it up to like the top of this mountain volcano thing. Chucky grabs onto like the talons, and he's like swinging his little feet as it's going up there. Andy sees this, so he's like, "Fuck, you know, I gotta get up there." Chucky knocks out Tyler. Andy goes crawling up the mountain. As he does this, he looks down and notices that there's just a giant exposed fan that is blowing air on like the fake flames to make the flames, you know, pop up or whatever. And it's like, boy, I wonder if that'll come back, you know? So
it doesn't.
Yeah, nothing happens at all with it. Yeah. Chucky is at the top of this mountain doing this spell, and it takes Andy like 2 minutes to get up there. And Chucky is just repeating like the same line over and over again at some point. And I don't know how long this spell is, but it keeps going on. I don't know how he was able to successfully do that spell the first time in that little toy store when the cop was looking for him and could hear him doing the chant. And somehow, maybe it takes less time to put your soul into an inanimate object. Maybe it takes longer to like replace someone else's soul. But I mean, he's up there for a good 2 minutes and he just cannot do it. And eventually Andy crawls enough to shoot, and he shoots off one of Chucky's arms. And then eventually he shoots him through the chest. And then he gets up there. And of course they do the classic thing where him and Tyler are like, oh, we made it. But then Chucky pops up behind them and scares them. So Tyler goes and falls, and he's dangling, and fucking Andy's holding on to him. And Chucky is trying to, like, strangle Andy. So Tyler hands him the little pocket knife, and Andy uses it to cut off Chucky's hand. And then he's able to fucking throw Chucky, and Chucky falls down into the fan, and gets chopped up into pieces. And then we go outside, and the movie ends with De Silva being taken to the hospital, and Andy is getting loaded up into a police car, because I guess he's being arrested for something. I assume they're going to blame a couple of those murders on him. But he's like, don't worry, I'm used to it. I don't remember if they ever explain. I'm sure they probably do in Curse or Cult. Because like in Bride and Seed, Andy's never mentioned again, and then it's the reboot. Or no, and then it's Curse and Cult. And in Curse and Cult, they mention him a lot, and he pops up. But I can't remember if they mention at all what he was arrested for, if he does any time for any of this shit. And De Silva, from my knowledge, is never mentioned again. Who knows if she'll ever pop up in like the TV show? But she lived, but she's gone. Yeah, and so that's how the movie ends. Except for the fact that the credits start to roll before like the film fades out, so you see like people picking up the trash, and it just bugged me that they cut out all the lights in the carnival. And it was like, well, these people are clearly going to be working for a while, like cleaning up this trash. So why would you just turn off the lights like that? But anyway. But that's the end. Child's Play 3. This movie had a budget of $13 million, made a box office of $20.5 million. So, like I said, it didn't bomb. Like, it made money, but definitely not as much money as they were hoping for, and not as much as the previous movies had made it. And the series would go into hiatus for like 7-8 years before Bride of Chucky comes out. So, there you go. Also, Tyler, I saw this. Do you remember, or have you ever looked at the case where it was those two 10-year-old boys who like abducted like a 4-year-old or something and like tortured him and murdered him?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and like you can see like at the train station them like walking with him by the hand, and that's like apparently this movie was blamed for that murder. And they tried to say that those kids had saw this movie and it inspired them to go out and do this. And so England, let's see what. Yeah, the film is widely thought to have been banned in the United Kingdom until 2002. It was incorrect. It wasn't banned, but they did like crack down. Like censorship became really big because it was believed that 1993 James Bulger was abducted by two 10-year-olds and tortured and murdered. It was believed that this movie was the reason for it. But upon investigations of the 200 movies that the father of the boys owned and had watched, Child's Play 3 was never found amongst them. And apparently the kids disliked horror movies. So he's like, they're like, there's never any proof of them actually having even seen the movie. But it led down onto them cracking down on censorship and fucking Child's Play in general for a while over there.
So they were like, hey, do you like horror movies? They're like, nah, no, okay.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all it took.
Yeah. Yeah, but, so. Also, can I just say, I looked up, when I was looking around to see if anyone was in anything. Jeremy Silvers plays Tyler in this. This is what he's known for. Google, okay?
Huh?
He is best known for his roles as Tommy in Saved by the Bell. I never watched Saved by the Bell, so maybe. Okay, and then this. and boy number 3 in My Wife and Kids.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
So,
I remember him. Yeah, the third one, right?
Yeah, the third one. Yeah, the one with the shirt. Yes. So
That's some shit I would say.
Yeah,
That's what got me.
So not his starring role in a giant franchise, but boy number 3 in My Wife and Kids. That's what he's known for. So there you go. Let's do best of, worst of, Tyler, for Child's Play 3. My best of, you know what? My real best of is the scene where the slow-mo of Cochran, Carrie, and
you can't have
Chucky.
a real and a fake best of.
I do, though. And Carrie and
Oh, okay.
Chucky and them staring at each other. You're like,
Really,
all
you
right, never
can't.
mind. I take it back. And the slow-mo, it's a really well-done scene. I really enjoyed it. But my fake my fake best of that I enjoyed more than I remembered I enjoyed was Chucky calling Andy a wimp. Like, I laughed at it so much when it happened. I laughed at it so much retelling it, and I just laughed at it again. So there you go. That's my best of. Worst of. Ooh. Worst of. I'm gonna say is Colonel Cochran.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like. Yeah, you have to have like the head authoritative figure, but I don't know. I don't like him. I guess his death is kind of, it's funny. He dies of like a heart attack, but I don't know. If out of everything I had to pick, that was probably it. Maybe the love interest, just that whole thing, because they never really dive into it. It's literally they share 2 scenes and then they're kissing. But movies do that all the time, so I can't really be like, this fucking movie, because they just do it. So, I think I'm going to go with Cochran. Even as weird as, like, the barber is, his character's so weird that I'm like, you know what, never mind, he's not the worst of it. It works. So, Tyler, what's your best of, worst of?
It's a really hard one. Like, I'm trying to think, but...
Yeah.
I liked how Tyler was, like, a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, he even left that little note for Chucky, He
did.
was like, hey. And I was like, okay. I was like, this kid's like, something.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he was the best part, though, but I think it's an honorable mention.
All right.
I just hate the way military is portrayed in films and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, that whole JRTC fucking whatever, I'm just like, Like, I hate the place setting.
Yeah.
Like, why not just make it an orphanage or something?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess the whole movie would be different, but...
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
Do it my way. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why I liked the military setting so much, is because the first 2, it was just like the family doesn't believe them, and even though the second one is like a foster family and stuff, and this one just is so different from the other ones, and that can go either way, because you can go very different and it be like, man, you guys really shouldn't have gone this route, but I think it works a lot. I don't, like I said, I know a lot of people consider it their least favorite or one of the worst, but I don't know. You guys are listening to the same podcast that both of us ranked Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new generation, as the second best Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which wildly has been stated that's the worst one, and we were like, no. We were like, this one is the second best. It's number 2.
Pretty good.
I really like it. Yeah.
Dog will hunt.
Yeah. That's 2. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
How dare you contradict me? I don't know. Like I said, I'm just thinking and like, Chucky's just more animated. He's talking shit. Chucky's the best part of this movie. I know that sounds like a cop-out since it's a Child's Play movie, but like Chucky's by far just animated and great. Not animated as in like the way he moves, but just the way he is just so much better in this one.
Yeah.
So Huge fan.
I do look forward to Bride when we get to Chucky, who's all like stapled up and shit. Like that's my favorite version of Chucky, just all scarred up and shit.
Well, that's not cool, bud. I mean, you know, you guys are going through some things, and you're like, "Hey, I want to see him scarred more," and it's like, "What?"
Yeah.
But and the worst thing, I mean, that Sheldon guy, like, there's just weird shit. Like, there's all these like lieutenants and stuff, like upper brass that's there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when he falls in the cafeteria, there's like some random dude, some old guy there with
Yeah.
glasses, who's like, "Go get him." And it's like, who the fuck's this dude? Who are all these other people? Like, what?
Yeah. It's the fact that like this kid is a kid. Like he's
Yeah.
about the same age as everyone, and he's being given an authoritative role over, and you can't do that shit. Like kids will abuse that. So like when he's marching out in the rain, Colonel Cochran comes out and is like, "What's going on?" And he's like, I'm just, you always like them to be ready for anything. I just got them out here, And it's yeah, I don't know. That shouldn't be a thing. Like,
Well, they do that all the time. Like, you have a
yeah.
platoon guy or whatever, and like, so you're putting
yeah, but those are men, like, and you assume that maybe they have, they're more mature about things. But these are like 16 and 17-year-old boys and girls who like bully and like cliques and people you dislike and don't is like prime at this age.
I mean, I got you. I mean,
Yeah,
I agree, but I'm just saying it's like a tactic they use, but not like there,
yeah.
right? Like,
Then again, I say that, and then my mind immediately jumps to what is it, the Connecticut experiment or whatever it was, where they just paid all them people, and they were like, "All right, 8 of you be prisoners, and 8 of you be guards, and do it for a month." And by like day 10, like the guards were making them like suck their dick and shit, like it was. And then the people stepped in. They were like, "You have to stop the experiment."
well, that's the like I don't know. I don't want to go on a rant here, but it's like in like Nazi Germany, like all of Germany went like crazy with the Nazis, and they were like, "What? But you guys aren't Nazis. You're just Germans." And they're like, "Yeah, but everyone was doing this, so we just thought we'd have to join in."
Yeah,
And it's kind of like mob mentality or whatever. So it's like, it's, I don't know, it's weird.
you ever watch Band of Brothers?
Yeah.
Do you remember that scene where they're walking by the Germans and the one guy's like, "Yeah, fuck you guys. Why don't you go back to fucking, I don't know, Germany with it?" And the guy's like, "I'm from Oregon," or some shit. And he was like, "What? I'm from Oregon." And then, yeah, the guy was like, "No, my family is from Germany. They answered the call." And, like, they grew up down the street from each other. And then the guy was like, "All right, see you later." And then immediately, like, an American came over and he was like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." And just killed them all. Anyway, yeah.
I saw the terror in your eyes when I said Nazis, by the way.
It was just.
I saw the terror. I was like, no.
It was just out of no. You were like, "All right, how?" And then the Nazis, and I was like, "What?" Do you see? Kristen Dunst is making a movie, and I don't know what it's about. But the director, they were doing some press conference, and the director, I guess, is about Hitler or Nazis must be involved somehow. And the guy was like, "I understand Hitler," and he was like trying to explain Hitler, and Kristen Dunst literally like stops him, and she's like, "Stop," and he's like, "No, let me tell them." And he's trying to explain, and it's it's something. So anyway, all right, well, hey, thanks for listening, watching us talk about Child's Play 3. Next week, Bride of Chucky, 8 years after this movie came out or something along those lines. Bride has nothing to do with Andy Barclay. He's fucking gone till, like I said, Curse. So he's gone for like 25 years of the series or some shit. Like, I don't think Curse came out till like 2015 or something like that. But Bride of Chucky coming out where fucking Chucky's all scarred up. Jennifer Tilly's there.
You want to take a guess on whether or not I'll like this movie? Because I'm not gonna lie, these Child's Play, some of them have been very entertaining, and other ones, like the first one, were just a snooze fest.
Wow.
And I think they keep getting funnier and more like. I'm really weird. I love like slapstick, but when it gets too ridiculous, I'm like,
That's what. Yeah, I'm curious to see because Bride is definitely when it starts getting into more comedy than horror. And I'm wondering if it's getting to, you know, because Freddy has that line too. Freddy eventually gets to a point where it's so many just jokes and nothing is, you know, where it's like, and I wonder if Bride is that limit. Bride, if I remember right, it's either Bride or Seed is the first Chucky I ever watched. Bride and Seed are definitely the ones I grew up on. So, I don't know. So I'm curious to see if I'll like Bride as well. Because like I said, I think the jokes are definitely going to be more relevant. Relevant
relevant is if they make sense to you. Prevalent means they show up.
Okay, yeah. I also think that Bride is when Chucky starts doing a whole bunch of pop culture references and shit as well. I think Bride's the one where like there's a scene where they're in the police headquarters or whatever in like the crime room. And in one locker, it's like a hockey mask and a machete, and the other one, it's like a chainsaw and like all that shit. So, anyway, I don't know. Should be interesting. But yeah, next week, Bride of Chucky, and then after that, we'll take our break and we'll watch Cujo because Tyler's been dying to watch Cujo. And then
I might have a different one to watch.
You fucker. Is it Pearl?
Barbarian.
Oh yeah, I see everyone talking about it. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I have no. But they said you don't look it up. They said don't look, don't do anything. Just watch.
Yeah, I never look it up. I just I don't know. Once again, though,
be something I watch alone at night by myself.
Oh. Once again, though, that Pearl like X, I felt like gave away so much of the movie, and those Pearl trailers. I mean, it's literally like you can't see who it is. But you literally see her just like, I won't say in case you haven't watched all the trailers, but just so much shit she's doing. And I'm like, I wish we would save some of this, but I guess, you know. And then you saw they already announced the title of the third one.
Oh, did they? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, the third one's Maxine, but 3 X's because I think Maxine is the name of Mia Goth's character from XXX, which we talked, because the first one, and then there's this prequel about the old lady. And then, spoiler, skip 10 seconds, you know, at the end of XXX, we learned that her dad was, like, the priest dude. So I think the third one is probably going to be about, like, either the dad trying to get her back or maybe what led up to her leaving. But anyway, yeah, I'm not sure. I know Pearl must be dropping soon because they're doing a whole bunch of press for it. So, but anyway, all right, we got to wrap this up because I got to get this all ready and to go and shit. But anyway, thanks for listening.
I don't even know what time it is.
It's 7:30.
Oh man, you got an hour and a half. Easy.
Well, I got 2.5.
Come out at 9? Or
comes out at 10. Yeah. I was thinking about having the podcast come out at like 8 a.m., which is when people usually put out videos. But it just always seemed like it defeats the purpose. I mean, it's the graveyard shift. And, you know, it always, I don't know. And I have podcasts I listen to that they do live shows, and they always come on at like 10 at night. It's just always a nice vibe. So that's why I've always uploaded them at 10. But I've thought maybe if you upload them at like 8.
But if we did at 8, then maybe we're getting the other end of that. Like people who get off work at 7.
Yeah. So,
you know, AKA the graveyard shifts.
Yeah. I don't know. So it's something to think about. Maybe the upload times will change in the future. But the late ones have been great because there's been a lot recently that we've been pushing the. So luckily they're late uploads. So
listen.
Yeah. Anyway,
you need to be more available.
You fucker.
Well, to be fair, like 4 days out of the week, you work from 4 a.m. to like 7 p.m. pretty much. So it's like there's literally no way to do it on those. All those other days I can do it. It's just like later or earlier or whatever.
We can do them on those days. I just have to know ahead of time because I can't watch them when I come home because it'll be too late. Yeah. So I have to watch them like before.
To be fair, you usually don't watch them day of anyways.
I don't. I watched this one day of.
You watched it today?
I did. I did watch it today.
Oh.
So I was going to watch it yesterday. thinking that we were gonna do a morning thing, but then you had to work, so I was like, well, I'll wait till tomorrow.
I was so mad too. I'm
Yeah.
still mad, but different reasons now.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Link to the gaming channel. Gaming channel's been popping off recently. I don't mean
Really?
to brag. Gotten 15 new subscribers in the last 2 days.
Holy shit!
That Backrooms video I put out, 400 people watched it.
I saw that. I saw that it did well, and I went, huh?
Yeah, that's why I wonder maybe it's the titles, because I've been trying different, and I'm trying to get inside your back rooms. I don't know. Wait till you see the title of the Dying Light video I came up with tomorrow.
Oh, you didn't go with mine?
I thought about going with yours and naming the video Tyler named this video, and then putting this, but I didn't. Maybe I'll use that for, because the next week is a 7 days video, so maybe I'll use that for. Doesn't
When
really.
did we
make
do
sense.
7 days? Or did you play 7 days with Mav or
No,
something?
it's from when we played it like 3-4 weeks ago.
Jesus.
So
We played 7 days 3 or 4 weeks ago?
we did. We need to play it again, but we've been so busy. Yeah, we streamed it.
Yeah, maybe there's a hurricane coming.
Maybe. I think
We streamed 7 days?
we did.
When did this happen?
It happened. It was when we were supposed to play Labyrinth, and then Maverick was asleep, and so we started streaming 7 days, and he showed up 5 minutes into 7 days, and we played. And remember that was that zombie bear I shot, and it was a whole thing.
Oh, yeah. And you went running in, and they killed you, and then you started yelling at us because we didn't go in there.
Well, yeah,
Or
we were supposed to
something.
kill
I
the
remember
bear.
now.
Anyway, yeah. So look out. That video will be up tomorrow. So go check out the gaming channel and watch. Nope, that's 2 weeks. That's 7 days. Dying Light is tomorrow. We stream that as well. We need to get back into it, but we've been busy, like I said. Anyway,
Yeah, that's the problem. Busyness.
Yeah.
Not the game play.
no, the game was great. Anyway, link gaming channel, link to Twitch and stuff in there. We stream. It's been a little bit, but you know, you'll catch us every now and then. Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Bride of Chucky, be there or be scared. You see, because it's a horror podcast.
But if they're not there, why would they be scared?